Hello, and welcome to the reading of The Amulet of Samarkand by Jonathan Stroud. When I landed on the top of a lamppost in the London dusk, it was peeing with rain. This was just my luck. I had taken the form of a blackbird, a sprightly fellow with a bright yellow beak and jet black plumage. Within seconds, I was as bedraggled a fowl as ever hunched its wings in Hampstead. Flicking my head from side to side, I spied a large beech tree. Leaves mouldered at its foot. It had already been stripped clean by the November winds, but the thick sprouting of its branches offered some protection from the wet. I flew over to it, passing above a lone car that purred its way along the wide suburban street. Behind high walls and the evergreen foliage of their gardens, the ugly white facades of several sizable villas shone through the dark like the faces of the dead. Well, perhaps it was my mood that made it seem like that. Five things were bothering me. For a start, the dull ache that comes with every physical manifestation was already beginning. I could feel it in my feathers. Changing form would keep the pain at bay for a time, but might also draw attention to me at a critical stage of the operation. Until I was sure of my surroundings, a bird I had to remain. The second thing was the weather. Enough said. Third, I'd forgotten the limitations of material bodies. I had an itch just above my beak, and I kept futilely trying to scratch it with a wing. Fourth, that kid, I had a lot of questions about him. Who was he? Why did he have a death wish? How would I get even with him before he died for subjecting me to this assessment? News travels fast, and I was bound to take some abuse for scurrying around on behalf of a scrap like him. Fifth, the amulet. By all accounts, it was a potent charm. What the kid thought was going to, what the kid thought he was going to do with it when he got it beat me. He wouldn't have a clue. Maybe he'd just wear it as some tragic fashion accessory. Maybe nicking amulets was the latest craze, the magician's version of pinching hubcaps. Even so, I had to get it first, and this would not necessarily be easy, even for me. I closed my blackbird's eyes and opened my inner ones, one after the other, each on a different plane. One, I looked back and forth around me, hopping up and down the branch to get the optimal view. No fewer than three villas along the street had magical protection, which showed how wealthy an area we were in. I didn't inspect the two farther up the street. It was the one across from them, beyond the street light, that interested me. The residence of Simon Lovelace, magician. The first plane was clear, but he'd rigged up a defence nexus on the second. It shone like blue gossamer all along the high wall. It didn't finish there either. It extended up into the air, over the top of the low White House and down again on the other side, forming a great shimmering dome. Not bad, but I could handle it. There was nothing on the third or fourth planes, but on the fifth I spotted three sentries prowling around in mid-air, just beyond the lip of the garden wall. They were a dull yellow all over, each one formed of three muscular legs that rotated on a hub of gristle. Above the hub was a blobby mass, which sported two mouths and several watchful eyes. The creatures passed at random back and forth around the perimeter of the garden. I shrank back against the trunk of the tree instinctively, but I knew they were unlikely to spot me from there. At this distance, I would look like a blackbird on all seven planes. It was when I got closer that they might break through my illusion. The sixth plane was clear, but the seventh, that was curious. I couldn't see anything obvious. The house, the street, the night all looked unchanged. But, call it intuition if you like, I was sure something was present there, lurking. I rubbed my beak doubtfully against a knot of wood. As expected, there was a good deal of powerful magic at work here. I'd heard of Lovelace. He was considered a formidable magician and a hard taskmaster. I was lucky I'd never been called up in his service, and I did not much want his enmity or that of his servants. But I had to obey that kid. The soggy blackbird took off from the branch and swooped across the road, conveniently avoiding the arc of light from the nearest lamp. It landed in a patch of scrubby grass at the corner of the wall. 4 black trash bags had been left out there for collection the next morning. The blackbird hopped behind the bags. A cat that had observed the bird from some way off waited a few moments for it to emerge, lost patience, and scuttled cautiously after it. Behind the bags it discovered no bird, black or otherwise. There was nothing there but a freshly turned molehill.